All right, let's get into one of history's most absolutely wild and consequential personal transformations. Seriously, it's like a villain's origin story, but played completely in reverse. We're going to unpack this whole thing, drawing straight from the ancient text of Acts, chapter 9, to see the exact moment a persecutor became a champion. So let's meet our main character. His name is Saul. And, the text does not pull any punches here. He's not introduced as some kind of hero or even a conflicted guy. Nope. Right from the get-go, he's the antagonist. Zealous, dangerous, and on a mission that's literally fueled by, as it says, murderous threats.
But this wasn't just some guy losing his temper. This wasn't blind rage. Saul wasn't just angry, he was organized. He had a plan, a strategy. And for the brand new, tiny little movement he was targeting, the stakes could not have been higher.
And just look at how official this all was. This wasn't some vigilante going rogue. Saul marched right up to the high priest, the highest religious authority around, and got official letters. We're talking arrest warrants, basically. His mission was crystal clear. Get to Damascus, find anyone who belonged to this new group called the Way, and drag them all the way back to Jerusalem for punishment. And he didn't care if they were men or women. Everyone was a target.
But it's on the journey itself, on that road to Damascus, that the whole story just gets completely turned on its head. The hunter is about to have an encounter that changes, well, everything.
So picture this. Saul and his crew are getting close. They can practically see the city. The mission is just moments away from kicking off. You can just feel the tension in the air. And then bam, out of absolutely nowhere, a light. It's described as coming from heaven itself. That's how brilliant and sudden it was. It just engulfs Saul, stopping him dead in his tracks and knocking him right to the ground. And his men? They just stand there, totally speechless. They can hear a sound, but they don't see anyone.
Lying on the ground, Saul hears a voice, and the question it asks is stunning. Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me? Just think about that for a second. The voice doesn't say my followers or my people. It says me. That one word completely reframes Saul's entire mission. Suddenly it's personal. It's direct.
So Saul asks, who's speaking? And the reply, well, it's the climax of the whole encounter. The voice says, I am Jesus, whom you are persecuting, the very person whose followers Saul has dedicated his life to destroying. Saul's greatest enemy is now speaking to him directly from heaven. And the aftermath of this is just total shutdown. Saul is left physically blind. For 3 straight days, he is completely and utterly helpless. No sight, no food, no water. The powerful man with the official letters who left Jerusalem is now in a state of absolute vulnerability, forced to just sit there and process what on earth just happened. Okay, so now the story's focus shifts. We go inside the city of Damascus and we meet another key player, a disciple named Ananias. And he's about to get an assignment from God that sounds absolutely terrifying.
When the Lord tells Ananias in a vision to go find Saul, his reaction is so perfectly human. It's just fear. He basically says, Lord, are you sure? Because I've heard about this guy. We all have. He's here to arrest us. It just shows you how infamous Saul was. Ananias' hesitation really drives home just how dangerous everyone thought this man was.
But the Lord's reply reveals this unbelievable reversal. Think about it. Saul's whole goal was to arrest people who called on Jesus' name, and now his new purpose is the exact opposite. He's going to be a chosen instrument to proclaim that same name to Gentiles, to kings, and to the people of Israel. It is a complete 180-degree flip of his entire life's mission.
So Ananias does it. He obeys, he finds Saul, calls him brother, and lays his hands on him. And in that instant, we get this incredible image. Something that looked like scales fell from Saul's eyes. His physical sight comes back, but it's pretty clear this is also about a deeper, spiritual sight that he's just been given.
But Saul's transformation wasn't some quiet, private thing. Oh no, it had immediate, public, and pretty chaotic consequences. He doesn't just, quietly join the movement. He becomes its most outspoken advocate, and in doing so, he basically paints a giant target on his own back.
So Saul immediately starts preaching in the very synagogues where he was supposed to be arresting people. And the reaction is just pure, unadulterated shock. People are completely baffled. You can just hear them whispering, wait a minute, isn't that the guy who is just trying to destroy this whole movement? What is going on?
And things escalate so fast. He starts preaching right away A few days later, he's getting even more powerful in his arguments, just confusing his old buddies. And then it happens. Those same allies, the very people who supported his mission, decide he has to die. The hunter has officially become the hunted, and he's forced to escape the city at night by being lowered over the wall in a basket.
Now you'd think he'd finally be welcomed with open arms by the believers back in Jerusalem, right? Not a chance. They are terrified of him. They're convinced it's all some kind of trick. It actually takes another guy, a man named Barnabas, to step up, vouch for Saul, and finally convince the apostles that this unbelievable transformation is for real.
Now, to really get the full impact of what happened to Saul, we kind of have to zoom out and look at the bigger picture. Because as dramatic as his story is, it's just one piece of a much larger puzzle. The very movement he was trying to crush was already growing in these incredible, almost unexplainable ways.
For example, at the same time all this drama with Saul is unfolding, another leader, Peter, is traveling around the region. The text says he heals a man in Lydda who'd been paralyzed for 8 years. And then, even more amazing, he restores a woman named Dorcas to life in Joppa after she had died. So these weren't just isolated incidents. This stuff was like fuel on a fire, causing the movement to spread like crazy, all on its own.
And this, right here, brings us to the ultimate irony of the whole story. With its #1 persecutor now one of its greatest champions, the church actually experienced a time of peace. The very movement Saul set out to destroy wasn't just strengthened by his conversion. It grew like wildfire in his absence as an enemy.
In the end, the story of Saul, who we'd later come to know as the Apostle Paul, is one of the most radical accounts of personal change you'll ever read. And it just leaves us with this huge, timeless question to think about. What does it actually take? An experience, an argument, a flash of light, to completely reverse a person's deepest, most passionately held beliefs?